immediately. Let's get to Jason Kelce right now. He's in studio ready to rock. And, of course, got that sweater on. He's looking kind of festive right there. Garage beer.
Joe, who are you to evaluate the attire of Jason?
Do you really want me to answer that question? I'll answer that question. I am. Hammer! Okay. Hey, the garage is always open. Jason's Beer, garage beer, light beer like it used to be. Find garage beer at your local retailer, or, of course, you can just get it at drinkgaragebeer.com. That website, drinkgaragebeer.com. Official beer of the Kelce brothers and dads everywhere. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning.
How are you, pal?
Good. Doing great.
Festive times, man.
Festive times all around. Yeah, no. Outstanding week for the birds. Holidays coming up.
How about
It's a great time to be in Philadelphia.
How long has it been since you felt this like sprightly at this time of year? Like you physically feel less beat up right now than you have?
Yeah, no question.
In how long? I mean, we're talking decades?
Great school?
And how different is that?
As long as I can remember. Yeah, even before football, I was playing hockey. So, you're kind of always banged up
Just
and
like
hitting
bleeding
people. Yeah,
and
exactly.
Bruised?
Yeah.
How much does that make you happier? Does that make this a cheerier time of year?
I don't know. It makes it honestly feel weird that I'm not playing football, to be honest with you. I think there's definitely a niceness that I'm not in that much pain. And, at this point in the season, this late in the year, you're not having to worry about all of the, just aches and pains of, 14 games. But I think that, I think that there's definitely things that, you miss. There's things that just feel weird that you're not, scheduled to be. And, you're not working around something for Christmas like you almost always are. Like, what time's practice? All that stuff kind of, I feel like, just feels like a little bit different this year.
Jason, and it's funny, I could ask you if you missed the whole thing, but we'll ask you negative. I mean, maybe you missed it on the lead up to a Super Bowl, but
for sure.
I would imagine you do. These guys have a shot at glory that,
I miss it. I mean, even if they were four and even if they won 4 games, I'd miss it.
But it's got to be substantially
more
fun when you
football,
win, right?
Football when you're winning is more fun.
Yeah.
So how much these guys are enjoying being around each other. I still go in the building occasionally, and you can feel how excited everybody is. And football when you're winning is just a really really fun sport. So is every sport, but football in particular because the team is so you start becoming just such a great tight-knit group of guys, coaches, all that stuff.
Jason, let's get to that as it relates to last week for a moment, because I got to tell you, you've seen everything here since 2010, 11? What year were you? 12?
2011 was my first year.
Okay, 2011. So from my standpoint, I view what happened over the last roughly 10 days, whatever the heck it would be, 7 days, whatever it is, 9 days.
Yeah.
One of the most consequential Eagles regular season weeks I can ever remember. I really mean that.
It's fair to say.
Team became stronger team. Offense may have become stronger, probably became stronger offense.
Yeah.
I mean, Jason, I think they took a monumental step in the last 7-8 days.
Yeah, and it could have gone completely the opposite way. I think, whenever something like that happens where, you have the passing game comments and then there's all this infighting supposedly referenced by BG. I think that, whenever something like that happens, it usually goes one or two ways, right? It usually either galvanizes everybody comes closer because you're like, man, screw these outside guys. They don't know what's going on, and they're saying a bunch of things that is not indicative of who we are and what we're doing and what we can accomplish. Or, it starts to fracture people. And clearly, the Eagles, to their credit, to the leadership, to all of those players and coaches, they rallied around this and they became better. And that's what is so crazy about that stuff. I used to really get frustrated when, guys would say controversial things in the media, or somebody would say something that, it's like, man, why'd you say that? Just keep that in the house.
Yep.
And I think a lot of the times that's true. You shouldn't say things, but I think sometimes it's a great way to be like, they've probably been talking about fixing the passing game for weeks at this point, right? And saying that publicly all of a sudden puts a different onus on it, because guys are like, wow, now everybody knows. Now if we don't go out there and do well in the passing game, it's going to be another week of this. Yeah. So all of the coaches, all of the players, everybody, we have to really figure this thing out. And you apply more attention to it, even when you're not in the building. I just think, even from the opening drive, there was such a clear emphasis on correcting this. Jalen Hurts was getting the ball out. with rhythm and timing that, we've lacked, and for whatever reason, right? And I just thought it was a really, really good answer to something that is really, at this point, the only weakness for the Philadelphia Eagles. Has been over the last 3 or 4 weeks. Everything else, they have gotten so much better at. And to go out there and have a game like that against one of the best defenses in the NFL in a response to all of the media criticism throughout the week, I thought was an incredibly strong sign for this football team as a group.
I thought it brings an interesting question too. This team is so good, that it's hard to find a weakness. I was just wondering about your role too with Cam Jurgens, with Cam being so good. Your role as a mentor at some point. Like being on the outside looking in, it's just got to be so like, holy cow, what else can this guy improve on? What else can I do as a mentor? It's getting more and more difficult to even give him the good tips.
Yeah, I mean, I've given, if I'm being honest, I've given Cam, I think, all of the tips. I mean, there's probably some that only would come up watching tape and organically you'd be, oh yeah, because you don't remember all of them in your own head. You'd be, oh, I remember I did this way or whatever. But I think Cam at this point is all just about experience and reps, right? Like he's playing at a very high level, and the more he plays, the more he's going to continue to dominate. Like the things that he, even in a game, he doesn't physically ever get overmatched. He's very strong. He's very good at the point of attack. The things that go wrong, and this is for any player as you're going throughout your career, are the angle is just not quite there, or like the double team, and that was happening at the beginning of the season. There's been so much improvement up until this point of the year. He's played phenomenal, and I think that
I don't think he's getting the credit that he should be getting. No. I think Cam Jurgens, for some reason, is glossed over somehow.
Because he's an offensive lineman. I mean, I'm just being honest.
But our offensive line gets a lot of attention.
No, I know. But look, there's Saquon Barkley, there's Jalen, there's AJ, there's the number one ranked defense.
Saquon does take a lot of it right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of star players on there. The defense is playing well. He's also on an offensive line, quite frankly. We have Jordan Mailata, Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson. So it's hard. There's only so many people can write stories about, right? And there's a lot of narratives on the Eagles that are really interesting. I think also, for me, something that really got my name out there was the highlight, kind of blocks at the second level. And he's had a bunch of them, but if he would have a few more of those, I think he would be having that conversation even more. We just haven't run some of those concepts with the frequency that we used to run them when
But that's the thing, from an outside perspective,
and he's done them.
From an outside perspective, the fact that you were able to snap it, shotgun snap, and then you become the point of attack. Like you are leading on the edge.
You're making the block that ends up springing the running back. And it's very
you're the
apparent.
Fullback.
And it was very apparent when I did it because I was out in the second level in the open field. It's like, wow, did you just see that block? People don't notice all the other blocks that the offensive lines are making throughout it. But I was very fortunate to have a lot of those plays called and to be put in that position that I was good at, but that also stuck out to people's heads. For some reason, I don't think they've called those plays with the frequency they used to call them. Like the draws, I would do that a lot on the quarterback draws, and now they've kind of let that go. Now it kind of seems like it's coming back a little bit. We'll see.
Over time, the announcers also highlighted yours.
And then, of course,
maybe not as much year one, but certainly as it got going.
Well, that's the other thing. This is his first year really being a dominant center. He'll continue to get more praise and credit as his career goes.
All right, let's get a lot of calls in there. Jason with us for an hour. Of course, getting near Christmas and Hanukkah. Great time of the year. Amazing to have the Birds at 12-2, a 10-game winning streak. One that, probably will end in the regular season with a 13-game winning streak, probably. And then could get as high as a 17-game winning streak if they go all the way to the Super Bowl, or 16, depending on if they get the bye or not. So it's an amazing time to be an Eagles fan. A lot of talk today amongst us here on the show. What gives you the greatest confidence? What specific aspect of this team or the league gives you the greatest confidence that this really could be the year? Again, like it was in 2017, to see the Eagles hoist Vince. Put that Lombardi thing up there. Look, to me, the number one thing that gives me confidence is the number one defense. That is... And in particular, because it will get harder in the postseason, and you will face who knows exactly who, but probably some combination of players like Jordan Love, who does worry me. He's very good, And then obviously, the Detroit offense, I know they lost the one running back, but they still got a big offense. And then in the Super Bowl, presumably either Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. Like, that's tough, man. So having the number one defense is big. All right, let's go to the phones. Mike right now. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, gang. How's everybody?
Doing great, Mike.
Good.
Excellent. Jason, you know what I want to ask you? So you being also a hockey guy, who was your hockey team when you were a kid growing up there in Ohio?
This is going to feel... So
I know.
Better not say the Rangers.
No,
I was thinking Red Wings.
No, nothing Philadelphia. It just is like,
Well, it's all... If it ain't us, it ain't cool.
Well, it's not also... It's so...
The Blackhawks?
It's nothing that's going to upset people. It's just I don't like that I rooted. There was no team in Cleveland, right? So I had to pick a team from anywhere on the map, and I loved Peter Forsberg. He was my favorite player.
The Avalanche.
So I became a Colorado Avalanche fan. I loved Patrick Waugh. That era of Avalanche hockey.
They were great. Yeah,
so good. So. Joe Sakic, Rob Blake.
I thought that was going to be way worse when
Ray Bork came over there at the end of his career, got a Stanley Cup. It was a very
Boston had a parade for him. Remember that?
I do remember that.
It was crazy. But Patrick Waugh and who was it? Chris Osgood fighting at like the red line.
Dude.
The goaltenders going at it.
That
was
was an all-timer.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I was just hoping to not hear Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I will admit I did love those Pittsburgh teams. Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr were incredible.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Ron Francis still gives me nightmares for 92.
There you go.
So, all right. So what I love about this team, man, like they just have such a unique mix of they're healthy, okay?
Yep.
They are so angry. They are so focused. They are bullies. Not only are they bullies, they're bullies at every single level on both sides of the ball. Bullies. But not only just bullies, they're the most elite skilled players in the NFL with the bully attitude. That's angry. They're healthy. They're focused. I mean, I don't know what else needs to go into this recipe to have potentially the best team of all time in Philadelphia.
Well, that's a little far because from what I've seen, it's the 83 Sixers, but they're up there. I mean, this team's up there. I'd still put them...
Football-wise, I mean, I'm talking football.
Look, they got a shot. They got a shot. I'll say that. Mike, give me a big-time answer. A tough choice in a movie or a show, something fictional.
All right, in the movie Alive, when the plane crashed and they had to resort to cannibalism to stay alive.
Oh, yeah.
So, James, was that based on a real-life story
It's
also?
a real story, sadly.
So I got to cross it. Yeah. Fictional! John, Jason, you know the difference between fiction and like real life, right? I just want to make sure.
I still, in my head, get fiction and nonfiction mixed up, so I'm glad that you went to fiction in real life. That always helps me. But yes, I do know the difference.
That's pretty good.
Don't call it nonfiction.
Exactly.
Good. Hey, let's get to the Twitter poll question of the day. It's brought to us by Armin Chevrolet. Red Tag bonus cash is back at Armin Chevrolet. In stock now, the 3-row Chevy Traverse. Together, let's drive. Visit ArminChevy.com. Jason, the NBA is getting lampooned this week, and they should. I mean, the frickin' tournament thing, whatever, the cup, that was stupid.
Yeah.
The courts look dumb. There's so many issues, right? Ratings are way down.
The stupid cup.
So, Jason, we've boiled issues down in the NBA to 3. Curious your answer of which of these, because our Twitter poll, everyone can weigh in on at Sportsradio WIP on Twitter and on the phone lines.
Yeah.
Speaks to biggest problem in the NBA. We've got it to 3 right now. A, stars changing teams, super teams. And that encapsulates like people sit out if they're not like I refuse to play for you, or I'll be a malcontent for the next month until you trade me. Like everything related to stars under contract dictating so much. Choice B, players miss too many games, which is obviously rampant. It's beyond belief. Yeah. Choice C is style of play, too many 3-pointers. It's just not as fun to watch an actual game. 3-pointer is probably the biggest aspect, but there are others. Which of them hits you the most as the biggest problem?
I think the biggest problem is that they're playing too many games, and that results in B happening. I think that if you're playing so many games that your players can't play every game, you shouldn't play that many games.
Well, let me tell you where I disagree with you right out of the gate.
All right, go ahead.
It was 82 games 20 years ago. It was 82 games 40 years ago. It was 82 games 60 years ago.
All right.
I don't think it's the games. I think it's their approach to the games.
But there's been a competitive and a reasonable adaptation that's been made through the NBA to realize that it's advantageous to not play every game.
Well, for sure. No, that's right. It's a change in the approach. I hear.
In my opinion, since they're not playing every game,
yep.
How can we as a league get them to play every game? And the answer is simple. They're not going to go back to playing every game because there's an advantage to not playing every game. from whatever.
That advantage may not be real, though.
It might not, but every team has adopted this.
They believe it.
So I don't know whether that's true or not. All I know is, as an NBA and as a fan, I want the star players playing every game.
Yeah.
What's the way to fix that without having to worry about all this other stuff? Play less games.
So here's my other counter to that, because I hear that from a lot of people. Here's my other counter. Let's say they go from 80 to 60. They're not going to go to 35. They got to make money. You got to have a product out there for multiple months. Let's just say they go to 60 games.
Yeah.
John, do you think players want rest in a 60-game schedule? It's still rest. No. Well, I mean, Jason, don't you think the Paul Georges of the world?
Rest less.
I don't know, man. You play 60 games. A guy that's 30 years old might choose to play 48.
Yeah, I'll admit, I don't know at what level guys are not going to rest, and at what level it's like, okay, this is enough time. Like, is it 1 to 2 games a week? Once you get into that third game a week, I think that it would have to be. I would really talk to the individuals who are dictating these rest schedules and what is the optimization of, like, too much for the athlete and too little. But I think that's the biggest thing to me, because I think at the end of the day, when players aren't playing, there's no more adamant, there's no more for sure this game doesn't matter than when your star players are playing the game.
I
so
agree.
Why, as a viewer, would I tune in if the game doesn't even matter to you guys?
I'm with you. And James, the salary's being guaranteed. And I get it. It's been what it's always been, but it's why the players feel they can. There's no incentive to play.
Totally. And then the salary just keeps going up and up and up with these TV deals, regardless of what the ratings are.
And that's an interesting. Yeah. That's actually a very interesting thing that the NBA, instead of doing less games, rework, and this would require some work with the union, which would be a whole problem.
They got to bust them up. I'm just telling you, the commissioner, and I know, Jason, you were
make
a union
it incentivized
member.
contracts. Make it listen, you're paid per game. If you want to sit out games, that's great, but you're not getting the same money.
It just would never happen.
Yeah, you're right. I don't even know what we're talking about.
Look, I'll just tell you this: as an NBA fan,
the union would throw their body in front of it.
But James, you know what? As an NBA fan, I would.
I agree. It's a great idea.
I would rather the NBA doesn't have a season, and the commissioner takes a hard stand, than just let this go for the next 20 years.
You're talking lockout.
The problem, the problem with the incentivized contracts.
Have some guts, man. Have guts.
Yeah,
lockouts are bad for the sport,
but James, this can't continue and get the NBA back on track. The ratings are tanking. It's a disaster. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much, but I just wanted to put that out there.
The incentive thing is that it then opens up all these can of worms of okay, what if a guy's injured? All of a sudden he's going to be penalized because he got injured.
Jason, do you know that
what's an injury? And then guys are going to start faking injuries just so they can still get the rest. And
do you know that Joel makes about 4 times as much this year as Saquon Barkley?
I did not know that. Good for Joel. Very happy for my good friend Joel. Listen, I don't know what to say to that. I mean, it's kind of crazy thinking about that, but I mean, this is the way the world of sports works, right? Like somebody on a rookie contract is going to ball out, and he's not making anywhere near. So, but I think Saquon should probably be getting more, I guess.
I would say
it's easier to palate that than Bryce Huff.
Well, that's a whole nother one. That's another one.
Bryce Huff was practicing again. So
there
we go. Window has been opened.
All right, let's get back to the phone. So you want to comment on the NBA thing, feel free. But obviously the Eagles, the big thing. They got a legitimate shot to win the Super Bowl. And we're asking today, what pumps you up the most? What gives you the most confidence that this really might be the year? Let's talk to Chuck in Mount Airy. Chuck, good morning, buddy.
Joe, John, morning team. Phelps, what's going on?
What's up, Chuck?
Hey, listen, I want to say, first of all, I want to say thank you to Jason for giving us a gift. You know, we don't miss him as much as I thought we would. Cam Jurgens is a terrific player.
I'm talking about a backhanded compliment right there.
I thought we would miss him a lot more on the field. I mean, Cam Jurgens is a terrific player, man. He really is. And I'm happy we got him on our team. What a great replacement. But thank you, Jason, for that. I appreciate you scouting him out, man. He plays something like you.
Yeah, he's phenomenal, and I think that I get credit for it a lot. I think it's probably unfair. It's Jeff Stoutland and all the scouts with the Eagles really put a lot of work into that. They had me watch a number of players, and I think everybody in the organization unanimously was very high on Cam. So I think that sometimes they just let the older guys sometimes look at some tape to be like, hey, who do you like? And we really like this guy. So I think Cam. I was not concerned at center. I wasn't. I think, and whenever you're going in there for the first couple games, there's going to be some like growing and learning moments, but that usually happens pretty quickly, especially for a guy that's really smart and a guy that's played already a full season when he played guard the year before. I was more concerned about right guard and who was going to play that spot. And there was that training camp battle between Tyler Steen and Mekhi Becton, and I think both of those guys had injuries, and it felt like nobody was really claiming that spot. And that was the one spot where I'm like, man, this is it's an important piece of this unit. And to see how much Mekhi has flourished. Have
you ever seen a guy that big
at guard
do guard?
That's a big question. I mean,
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, that was.
Is he monstrous. Bigger than Jordan Mailata? Like, I think physically
height-wise,
he might actually be taller.
He's wider for sure.
Yeah, he might not be as heavy as Nate Newton was, but Nate Newton was shorter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Nate Newton was big.
I think it's rare that a guy that long cut can win the leverage of it.
Absolutely.
We got a massive offensive line now, and I appreciate him so much. But listen, what gives me the confidence here, besides number one defense, I'm with you on that one, Joe. The number one defense gives me confidence. That's obvious, though. But what gives me confidence is what happened last week. We got our 30 for 30 moment. Every great team, whether it's the Tuck Rule, whether it's the Last Dance with the Chicago Bulls, whether it was the 2017 Birds, we all we got, we all we need. You know what I mean? We got our 30 for 30 moment. So when that happened last week, that just clicked in my head, and I said, you know what? We're going to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Chuck, give me an answer. That's a great comment there, man. Give me what was the tough choice in a movie you can win the gift card?
Well, when Jack gave that board to Rose, I know I wouldn't be able to do that.
The problem is, I don't think it was that tough. Did he give it? No, see, no, she's just. Here's the thing.
He's like, I'll let you live, I will die, was basically what happened.
Here's why it's not a hard choice, because there was room for both of them. You're a gentleman, you let her on first, and then you get on second. She screwed up.
He needed to fight hard or just, share.
She screwed up.
Take turns in the water, maybe.
Yeah, it's outrageous. And Jason, what was she
other
thinking?
options.
And then Jason, her final words.
What are we talking about right now?
Titanic.
At the end of Titanic, when Rose just lets Jack sink.
Jason, her final words to him are, "I'll never let go, Jack."
Yeah, and then
I'll never let go, and then literally let's go.
You let go.
Listen, this is what we sign up for as men. We get a lot of great things in this society. We get to have a lot of fun. We don't have to bear children. The one caveat to being a man, if it comes down to life and death, you're going. Right? That's the one.
Thank you for mentioning that, Jason. I appreciate that.
Very well said. Of course, I'd be with Hockley. I'd be like, I'm the father of this child. The child needs me. Make way.
The technicality on
James,
your
I feel like if I ever
throwing people off the light
James,
bulbs.
if I saw that actor, I feel like I'd punch him.
Was it Billy Zane?
Whoever that guy is.
Oh, yeah, Billy.
Such a horse's ass in that movie. All right, it's an anniversary today. It's a pretty cool one. Matter of fact, it's a very cool one. All right, James, I know you know, and Rhea, you know. Jason, it is shortly before you arrived with the Eagles.
Yes.
It is an anniversary today in Philadelphia sports. Do you have a guess of what it is? You've probably seen this highlight, if I had to guess, 50 times, but maybe 100, maybe more. Maybe less.
I'm going to assume it's Miracle in the Meadowlands 2.
Let's find out which anniversary day it is.
14 seconds to go. 31-31. Matt dodged the punt. Gets a high snap. Gets it away. It's a knuckler. Jackson takes it at the 35. Fumbles it. Picks it up. Looks for running room. He's at the 40. He's at the 45. Midfield. He's at the 40. He's going to go. Deshaun Jackson. I don't care if he jumps, dives. He's running around. And he's in the end zone. And there's no time. And the Eagles win. The Eagles win! This is Miracle in the Meadowlands #2!
It was just wild. Everyone knows the story. You know, I won't give you the full recap, but the basic thing is down 31-10. Vic goes wild. See, that's the thing. Vic has gotten shortchanged in this because Deshaun final play.
100%.
Dude, Vic went for 8 minutes. Down 21 points for 8 minutes.
It's as good a quarterback has ever played.
That was
for
crazy.
8 minutes, yeah.
And by the way, Andy had an onside kick down 14 points. A lot of people might forget that. Macklin had a TD. Vic had a TD. Brent Selleck had a tremendous TD with a beautiful. It might have been Vic's best pass ever.
An onside kick that was recovered.
Uh huh. It went from 30.
Who recovered it?
Don't know. Eagle player.
You found the hole in
We
his
kicked an
knowledge. We did
onside
it.
kick and recovered it, and then converted that into points immediately.
It was with 8 minutes to go, so the
That's
Giants didn't
incredible.
expect it.
Wow.
Yeah. So anyway, a great moment in
Awesome.
Philadelphia sports.